Are you slowly stopping to care, but you're still doing what you're supposed to do? However, you know that the rhythm's off. It's not rebellion, it's not failure. Actually, it's not that you've lost your passion or your desire to live meaningfully. You're quietly quitting, and maybe that's your invitation to reset. Welcome to your Creative Reset, a podcast for creatives who are just tired of all the hustle. It's time to create differently with purpose, wisdom, and creativity. By grace, not grind. I'm your host, Danix. Now close those 16 open tabs because your reset starts now. Most people don't wake up one day and say, I'm done. They slowly start disconnecting from something that doesn't make sense. It could be a job, a dream, a role, a routine. Not because they're ungrateful, not because they're unmotivated, but because something inside started shifting and the old way just doesn't fit anymore. And when that happens, we usually don't name it. We just get tired, feel numb, easily irritated at some point. We even start to wonder, am I burnt out or am I just lazy? But what if it's not burnout? What if it's a sign that you're in transition? And that's what we'll be talking about in this episode. How do we recognize when the old way stops working? And how to tell if you're actually being invited into a new season. So, if you've been feeling that slow detachment, like something's not right, but you can't name it, I want to walk you through a few markers I've experienced in my own life. These aren't rules, they are not a formula. These are what I have encountered that maybe the season is really shifting and I need to stop forcing what no longer fits. Marker number one is trigger. And let me start by sharing a story where a few months ago, I was working on a client video, a project. It was nothing major. In fact, it was supposed to be a simple project. Short turnaround, straightforward brief, no big production, no heavy lifting, as in none at all. So we had our alignment meeting. We talked through a few revisions here and there. It was all normal for any video projects that I've been working on. And yet, the moment the call ended, I completely broke down. I cried hard, so hard, and I turned to my partner and just said, I don't want to do this anymore. And it was weird, even for me, because the project wasn't even that stressful. It wasn't it wasn't them. It wasn't the edit, it wasn't all the comments and what have you, but something in me snapped. And that reaction, that intensity, it caught me off guard. Looking back, I realized it wasn't the project. It wasn't about it. It was about how long I had been holding this together. About how many times I pushed through my work that no longer felt like mine. About how long I had been trying to convince myself I was okay, that this is my job, this is my work, I need to do this. This was the marker when you're still doing the work, but something small triggers something deep. You're not losing it. You're not being overly dramatic of some sorts. You're just cracking under the weight of a version of your life you've already outgrown. So, if you found yourself crying over a Slack message, a simple note, snapping after a simple meeting, or feeling weirdly emotional over something that shouldn't be a big deal, just take a pause because maybe that reaction isn't about the task. Maybe it's your heart asking, can we stop pretending this still works? Trigger number two is resistance. So there was this one project that we're working on. It's not a quick one from earlier, but a bigger one where more people were involved, more moving parts. And on paper, it was a good opportunity. One of those projects that should have been fulfilling. It's a dream project for me and my team. So right from the beginning, something felt off. There was this first pre-production that we had and everything went well until one small thing triggered the client and then everything blew out of proportion. We were able to fix that and moved on until another thing happened. We need to reshoot some of the sequences that we had and we were able to fix it. But then there was a major issue. As the leader, you have to fix it. You have to step up. You have to troubleshoot. You adjust. And we did. We tried everything that we can to make it work. But here's the thing. No matter what we did, something else would go wrong. Nothing seemed to be flowing. Nothing flowed. Every decision would just lead to another block. And all that it brought was stress, frustration, resentment. You know that, you think, why did we accept this project? And by the time we finally delivered, I wasn't even relieved. I was just tired. And it hit me. Why did we fight so hard to keep this going when it clearly didn't want to? This is the marker. You're giving your best, but things keep falling apart anyway. It's not always sabotage or self sabotage, as other would call it. It's not always the lack of skill or faith or planning. Sometimes things don't work because you're not supposed to carry them anymore. And I don't mean you walk away from every hard thing. It's not that. Some things are just meant to stretch us. But there's a difference between being stretched and being strangled. If you've been stuck in something that just won't resolve, despite your best efforts, despite your prayers and pivots, you just pause. Because maybe the resistance isn't asking you to try harder. Maybe it's asking you to release something so you can make room for what's next. The third marker is disconnection. There was a time I could power through. I had my go to systems and they worked. Walking in the morning. It helped me clear my mind. I even used to do intermittent fasting and it made me feel strong and in control. I also had this budget method I loved that when I first learned about it, every first of the month or the first week at least of each month, I would sit down, recalibrate, plan it out. I actually enjoyed it. These weren't just habits, they were my system. They were my day to day routine. It helped me grow. It helped me be more focused. It helped me not become all over the place. And then when they stopped working, I tried to go back. So I tried to change the timings. Before I used to do it in the morning. I tried doing it in late in the afternoon, even evening walks, but it's still no longer working for me. I tried to restart the fasting, change the timings as well. Push it a little bit early so that I can have my coffee in the morning, my breakfast, but still doesn't fit anymore. I tried again and again the budgeting, the sheets that I had before, but I just couldn't. I'd plan a reset and then completely forget I even planned it. I just got tired. And every time I fell off, I felt a little guilty, a little disappointed to myself, to, I don't know, maybe I was the neighborhood, It's like, why can't I just do what I used to do? This is the marker. The routines that used to work now just wear you out. It's not because you're lazy or you lack discipline. It's that you've outgrown the system and the person you were when it worked. So sometimes we try to revive an old rhythm. We try to revive an old routine, an old day to day tasks that we used to do, hoping it will bring us back to the version of ourselves that felt in control. But the truth is, you're not meant to go back. You're being invited to build new rhythms that actually fit to who you are now. So, if you've been quietly frustrated with yourself for not being as disciplined or as productive as you once were, pause. You haven't lost your edge. You've just evolved. And your systems need to evolve with you. Those routines, those tasks, those habits that you formed before that actually led you to where you are now doesn't work anymore because you're changing and the things you do has to change with you. My fourth marker was disruption, where sometimes we don't choose the shift, it chooses us. A few years ago, I was working as a creative project manager for a web design agency overseas. So I loved the work. It was fun, it was meaningful. Everything just fits the tasks, the responsibilities, the role. It was exactly what I had prayed for. It checked all the boxes. Remote, the pay was good, it was creative, it's strategic. The people that I work with are great people, they are skilled and they are respectful. So everything was right on point. Then I took a vacation, a 2 week break. Then when I got back, they gave me the news. They were letting me go. It wasn't performance related. The founder was kind and made sure that I knew that. But still, it was done. I remember after that meeting, I just felt this quiet emptiness. Not panic, not even anger. Just what now? Sometimes it didn't feel fair. It didn't make sense. How do you lose something you actually want to keep? But over time, there's this little relief when I realized it wasn't just about the job. It was about what that job represented: security, identity, a version of success I had finally grasped. But now I had to let it go. So, this was my marker where you experience a loss and it exposes you to what you've been holding on to. It's easy to make sense of a door closing when the work is draining or the boss is toxic. But what about when it's good? What about when it feels like a gift, an answered prayer, perhaps? That's what makes this kind of disruption so disorienting, where you lost something valuable, something felt like an answered prayer, but also realizing it was holding a bigger place in your heart than it should have. Sometimes we need loss to show us what we were afraid to surrender. Surrender, in a sense, not because this was a bad thing to do, but because we had started building our identity around it. And maybe, God is creating a space for something else. Something you couldn't step into until your hands were empty. Something you can't work on because your hands are tied. So, if you're in a season where something got pulled away, could be a job, a client, an opportunity that you truly wanted, pause before rushing to fill the gap, because that gap might just be your holy ground. And the fifth marker would be transformation. I used to think burnout would be my breaking point, loss of job, even the pandemic, and all those things. But the real shift in me didn't come from work, it came from loss. When I lost Mama, everything changed. She was my anchor, my number one cheerleader, and she was loud about it in the best way. She was expressive, affectionate, always present. Every time I posted something, she was one of the first to comment, react, send a message. Always. Never fails. Even when she probably didn't fully understand what I was working on, she showed up. And she made sure I knew that she was proud every single time. So whenever I have a shoot, an event, or a stressful day, I would go home to her. That was my reset. She was my reset. She was my recharge so that I can go back up again. With her, I didn't have to be strong. I didn't have to be creative. I didn't have to be anything. I was just her baby, her one and only. And with her, I could throw my tantrums like a brat, be my most unfiltered, unpolished self, and still be completely loved. I was so blessed to have a mom like her. There's also this voice note, a voice message that she left me once. Thank God for technology. Where she said, "You don't have to be perfect, anak. For me, you're perfect. You're already perfect." I listened to that voice message over and over and over because in her eyes, I never had to earn anything. I was just enough. So when she passed, something in me began to rebuild. And that was my marker. Your heartbreak shifts what you care about. After losing her, the way I work changed. The way I created changed. Even the things that I used to chase, the roles, the metrics, everything, the kind of success that I was building, they started to feel too loud, too fast, too distant. Because when you lose someone who truly saw you, you stop performing. You start asking, what really matters now? Her love didn't just hold me together, it helped me remember who I was. So when she was gone, I had to rebuild from that place with more gentleness, more honesty, more heart. But maybe for you, it wasn't grief. Maybe it was something else. A life change you didn't expect to shake you as deeply as it did. Maybe you got married, had a baby, or finally walked away from a relationship that you thought would last forever. Maybe it wasn't the loss of a person, but the loss of who you thought you were supposed to be. And now, the things that you used to care about just don't land the same. That's not failure, definitely. That's transformation. Because sometimes we don't shift because of strategy, we shift because life happens. And once your heart's been cracked open, you can create from the same place you used to. So if you're in the middle of that, where everything feels blurry, but something in you is waking up, don't fight to go back. Let this shape you. Let it soften you. Let it reset you. Because you're not the same. And that's not a problem. That's the point. You're creating from a deeper place now. And that kind of shift, it's not just painful, it's sacred. As I'm recording this, it's actually my 40th birthday, and this is the verse that God gave me. I hope and pray this verse would speak to you too. It may not be the way it spoke to me earlier, but I know it will speak to you too. It says in Isaiah 43, verse 18 and 19, "But forget all that. It is nothing compared to what I'm going to do. For I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in dry wasteland." Maybe you're in the wilderness right now. Maybe things feel dry, heavy, uncertain. But what if the dryness isn't a sign of death? What if it's just the space being cleared for something new? So, if you've been feeling off, disconnected, like the things that used to work don't anymore, I want to remind you, you're not broken. You're not behind. You're just in a season of change. And today, I walk you through the 5 markers that have helped me recognize when the shift is happening. Something small triggers something deep. You snap, you cry, you break, not because the task's hard, but because you've been holding too much for too long. Second is, no matter how hard you try, things still fall apart. You're giving your best, but it's not flowing anymore. That resistance might be redirection. Third, old routines don't work anymore. You've outgrown the systems that once felt right. You're not undisciplined, you're not unmotivated, you're just no longer that version of you. The fourth is when a loss shakes you and exposes what you were afraid to release or to lose. Sometimes the thing we didn't want to lose is the very thing that's holding us back. Last but not the least, a life change or a heartbreak. It really rewrites what you care about. Suddenly, your priorities change. The goals you used to chase doesn't hit the same. And that's not failure. That's transformation. If you're somewhere in the middle of these markers, maybe this is your creative reset too. You don't need to figure it out all today. You don't need to rush to rebrand, to relaunch, to reinvent yourself overnight, to resign. But what you can do is you can pause, you can reflect, and you can let the change shape you, not shame you. Because what you're feeling right now, it might not be burnout. It might be a breakthrough in disguise. Thank you for having your reset with me. My name is Danex. If this episode helped you, share it with a fellow creative who might need it too. And please let me know what you think of the episode by leaving a review. Let's keep creating with purpose, wisdom, and creativity, all by grace, not grind. See you on your next creative reset.